Everyone loves a good bait and switch, whether it's a magic trick, a hilarious joke, or finding out that your girlfriend was only using you to make her ex jealous.
I like the pain.
So, if everyone likes these surprises, is there a way we can incorporate them into our own writing? Are there good and bad ways to implement these sleights of hand? Should every story have a plot twist or only certain genres? Most importantly, how long do you stick around for the rebound when your ex finally gets dumped again? To answer these questions, today we're going to be looking at some examples of plot twists from Attack on Titan, the different ways these plot twists were implemented, how the writer ties them together to make each twist more impactful, and how you can do the same thing for your writing or romantic endeavors. So let's twist the nips right off this story and start by explaining the two fundamental plot twists, reveals and reversals, by using a whole lot of spoilers. You've been warned. Reveals are surprises, and reversals are surprises with consequences. Paradis being a prison island instead of the last stronghold of humanity is a reveal. The reversal is in the consequence, where now our heroes must set their sights not on fighting titans, but rather on an unknown enemy somewhere out past the ocean. Rhina, Annie, and Bertold being Titan Shifter double agents is a reveal. The reversal is the consequence of recontextualizing everything these characters have done and realizing that, moving forward, they are enemies, not allies. Finally, discovering that Eren is the bad guy in the show is a reveal. The reversal is the recontextualizing of everything in the past that he manipulated, from having crunchitized his own mom, teabagging his father's mental health, and teaming up with a child to river dance across the world. Reveals and reversals are the tiny payoffs during the story that keep your viewer entertained until we get to the climax. They lead the audience to believe they know what is going on before getting sucker punched in the huevos. This makes a story exciting by giving the audience an opportunity to try and discover the twists early, consider what consequences these twists may have down the road, and keep your story in the forefront of their mind, like ice cream for a fat kid. But that leaves you in a predicament as the storyteller. How do we set up a plot twist that isn't predictable, but also isn't a complete golf club to the taint for our audience? Step number 1. Select a plot twist that fits your story. So look, there are a lot of different kinds of plot twists. Your friends can turn out to be enemies, the thing you were looking for is useless, your new girlfriend turns out to be another serial killer, etc. These twists are on you as the writer to select for your own story. In theory, your story is unique with opportunities to trick your audience in ways they never imagined possible. But, just like your income statements to the IRS, there are good and bad ways to hide these costly details. If you disguise your vacation as a business trip because you went and picked up business cards, that's fine. But if you write off your vacation because you slept with your secretary, someone in a black suit will be on your front porch when you get home. As storytellers, we want to disguise our story's true trajectory by taking advantage of our audience's blind spots and misconceptions. In Attack on Titan, there is a dark reveal and reversal early on in the show, Eren's perceived death, and the discovery that he can become a Titan. When watching a show or a movie, we often assume that the first several characters we meet will be with us for the entirety of the story. So, when one of those characters gets swallowed alive by Santa Claus, we are mortified to discover that even the main character is not safe from death. Or so we think. When it's revealed in the next episode that Eren is not only alive but thriving in his new meat Gundam, we are relieved while simultaneously confused and curious. But why don't we feel cheated by this reveal? Eren's transformation is more abrupt and unpredictable than the explosive bathroom runs after a midnight trip to Popeyes, and yet, we kinda just roll with it. Well, for starters, and not so subtly, Eren is our story's hero. For the same reason we were devastated by his unexpected perceived death, we are not too surprised to learn he has the power of a killer Ken doll mega transformer. Second off, Eren and the gang are just as surprised as we are to discover that Eren can pull off this party trick. So long as the characters are confused about what just happened, we as viewers don't feel like we've been cheated or left out of the loop. That said, it can become very annoying when an audience is always in the dark, never having an opportunity to discover these twists and secrets on their own. But Andrews, how can you be so stupid? The whole point of a plot twist is to surprise the audience, which means they need to be kept clueless, or they need to be even stupider than you. Well, calm your tits, because we're going to go over why that's wrong with step number 2. Give your audience clues, even if they can't recognize them on their first viewing. Now, what the hell does that mean? Well, for example, we know that Titans, when killed, give off steam. We later learn that all Titan shifters give off steam when injured or popping out of their meat suits. Aaron, after hitting his head during ODM training, is seen steaming later that night. At the time, we as audience members either ignore the detail or we assume it's a meaningless animation. This is foreshadowing, but it ain't your grandmother's foreshadowing, where a character says something ominous like, I can't find my chainsaw, or you look like the type of guy that would take off another man's head with a shovel. And then everyone in the show acts like nothing's happened while your audience thinks, that dude is definitely a murderer. Instead, we have these Easter eggs, hints that can only be recognized on a second watching of the show or reading of the book. This is a type of storytelling irony where the writer gives you the answer to a future plot twist, but without any context, so you overlook it as an unimportant detail. It's like when you were little and your dad said that he was going to get cigarettes, but for some reason he had all his stuff packed in a U-Haul and left while your mom was at work. You were just too young and dumb to realize that your dad has a serious smoking problem and has spent the last 15 years living in a gas station. Other foreshadowing clues are given about Aaron's Titan powers, whether they're his dreams of the future, his strange final memories of his father, or mysteriously waking up in that warehouse with Grish's key. Anyone who has watched the show realizes what these events are and how they lead to Aaron acquiring the Attack Titan, but as a new viewer coming in drier than a litter box, the events are either easily ignored or unable to be explained at the current moment. Don't think of it as lying, think of it as giving the correct answer in a foreign language. You've given the necessary information to solve the problem, but nobody understands what you just said. But Easter eggs are only one way we can implement a proper plot twist. Not all information needs to be delivered before a plot twist occurs to give it a lot of panache. Instead, we can add details to an event after it's happened to help catch our audience up to speed, which is step number 3. Show your audience the details that they missed after the plot twist has occurred. If you've ever listened to Eminem rap, you'll have bars that explain the metaphors, similes, and puns used in the previous verse for people like me who didn't catch them on their 20th playthrough. An effort is made to ensure the audience understands what they just heard. As storytellers, outwitting your audience is a must for writing great plot twists. However, that is not the same thing as confusing the hell out of them and continuing with your story while they're still scratching their heads. But then that's no fun. If we trick our audience, then explain how the trick happened, we release all the tension and fun from the scene. The bond between a storyteller and the audience is just like any other healthy relationship. Once you give them what they want, they get bored and leave because you were too predictable. So how do we prevent this from happening? One of the most phenomenal things about Attack on Titan's plot twists is that they nest within one another. What am I talking about? After learning that Aaron is a Titan shifter, we learn that he's not the only one. Once we learn that he's not the only shifter, and that these shifters may be enemies or just in it for the fun, we learn that these enemy shifters want to take Aaron somewhere beyond Paradis. Once we discover that there is a place beyond Paradis, an entire world in fact, we realize that the Titans are not Paradis' enemy, but rather the entire world beyond the ocean. It's these chains of reveals and reversals which made the show so gripping and bingeable. We were given an explanation for our initial plot twist, Aaron being a Titan shifter, but it was immediately followed up with another reveal. Each plot twist serves as a gateway drug to bigger and better surprises. This strategy allows you, the writer, to extrapolate on a previous plot twist, which, if left unexplained, will frustrate your audience and create a plot hole. By using this strategy, you also get to keep your story tension elevated, because while you are releasing the pressure from the first plot twist, you are adding a new source of tension from this second plot twist. It's like when you left your mom's house to go live with your dad, only to remember that he hates you too. The pressure is still there, but it shifted from one form to another. Once you've hinted at a plot twist prior to it happening, and then work to further polish it off after it's occurred, this might be a good time for you as the storyteller to go back through your draft and revise your hints and Easter eggs. This gives you another opportunity to throw the audience off your trail by disguising your well-hidden clues with poorly hidden false flags. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody does revisions. But let's say you wanted to tell a good story people actually watch and talk about. How could we make a plot twist even more pronounced without making them obvious? That takes us to step number 4. Use red herrings to lead audiences down the wrong logic trail and cause them to doubt legitimate clues. If you've ever been rejected by a girl who laughs at all of your jokes and says that she loves you, then you're familiar with red herrings. They are clues that point you in one direction, but that direction leads straight to the friend zone. In Attack on Titan, we see this at Utgard Tower when Ymir and Rhaina identify canned rations. While this is another circumstance in which the audience doesn't know entirely what is going on during their first viewing, they can determine this much with the available information. Ymir can read the label on the food, while Rhaina feigns ignorance. Or maybe he can't read. I don't know. Someone will yell at me in the comments, but my guess is the former. In any case, after the female Titan turns out to be Annie, our suspicions are heightened that someone else in the gang could also be evil, or a shifter, or both. During this scene where Rhaina and Ymir seem conflicted about the language on a can of food, we are given a moment in which our suspicions of someone being sketchballs falls on Ymir, which, while not completely inaccurate, takes our attention off Rhaina and Bertold. This misdirection happens because we are shown a piece of information and we interpret the detail incorrectly, which is what any well-disguised red herring should do. Otherwise, if the clue is blatantly a lie or recognizable as a decoy, your audience will identify it immediately, and you're just wasting your time. Which is why the best lie to tell your audience is always the lie your characters believe themselves. Which is step number 5. It's not lying if your cast believes it. At the start of Attack on Titan, we're given a short little monologue from Armin about how the Titans appeared roughly 100 years prior to the story's beginning, hunting humans to near extinction before they found refuge within the walls. Now, on watching the show again, we realize how dumb that sounds. The walls were just there? The Titans just appeared? That's it? No further explanation? Well, here's the thing. If I'm willing to believe in giant naked people eating normal people as reality, then why would I question the existence of the walls? At this point, I don't even know if I want to keep watching the show, let alone question the legitimacy of its history. One of the most difficult tasks as a writer is identifying things your audience might take for granted, and then manipulating that weakness with a little thing I like to call misplaced trust. Of course, you know that you're lying to your audience, but you need to look for opportunities where their suspicions are lowered, and your lie can be misinterpreted as world-building fact. Introducing part of your fantasy world? Great time to lie. Introducing a new character early on in the story? That's a solid opportunity too. 20 hours in, when your audience has a firm grasp of how things work in your story, and their suspicions are heightened because you've tricked them a few times already. Since we are fed this lie right off the bat, and Armin and every character in the story assumes this history to be true, we just roll with it. It's only when Erwin talks about his childhood curiosity, we see a giant talking monkey, or learn that the walls are full of bodies, that we can begin to question if there isn't a part of the story we haven't been told. In a nutshell, plot twists play off what our audience sees but doesn't understand, and what assumptions they make given the information at hand. They either underperform or overcompensate. As a writer, you want to present enough information to your audience that they can realize the impending plot twists with just a little more context. Context you will provide after the reveal has been made. Or you can give them a map which leads them to the wrong destination. Give them clues in plain sight, but obscured by a lot of other meaningless trash. Or present them with the answer, but from a perspective that they can't readily interpret the information. It all comes down to misdirection, while never leaving your audience completely incapable of following your story. It will take trial and error, and probably add a lot of time to your revisions, but that should be the case. If your plot twist was the very first thing you thought up, then it will be one of the most obvious suspicions of your audience as well. Just like dating, we need to try, fail, try again, and keep looking for the right match for our story, instead of waiting for the rebound. So, get to brainstorming some plot twists, be creative, and go write the best story possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our weekly videos, and share the channel with your ex to show them you've moved on. Bloop doop, boo boop ba doop, doo doo. The end.